The right gear can make or break training or races. And after my years of running, today I'm gonna go through the gear that I swear by. And I just wanna be very, very clear. There is no substitute for hard work. There is no substitute for doing the training, but having the right gear can shave a couple seconds and can make the whole process a lot smoother. So the first piece, and probably the most important, is your daily trainer shoe. So I use the Hoka Clifton 9s, and I will just be a repeat customer for a couple of reasons. I've tried different shoes, I've tried Nike, I've tried different brands, I've tried different shapes, different sizes, different feels, different textures, whatever you want to call it, and I keep going back to the Hoka Clifton 9. They just fit me, they are my favorite, and so I just keep buying different colors. A general rule of thumb for your daily trainer is about 500 miles. Now, you can go a little bit shorter, you can go a little bit higher, but after around the 500-mile range, you start to put too much wear on them, and that's when your chance of injury starts going up. No matter what shoe you have, no matter how cushiony it was, you're gonna start seeing some injuries. So after about 500 miles, I'll change it out. But this is basically what I do every single run with, every single day, my long runs, my short runs, even my speed workouts. I just keep it simple. I wear these. I have an old pair that I'll wear when it's raining, when the weather's poor, when it's muddy out, if I'm running through some trails. And then I'll have a cleaner pair for when the weather's nice out. So Hoka Clifton 9, these are my daily trainer. It's not gonna be the same for everyone. Everyone's got a different sized foot, different shaped foot, different arch. But for me, the Hoka Clifton 9 daily trainer shoe. Now onto my next piece of gear. This one is expensive, and I see people out training with it, and I just want to shake my head a little bit. Now, everyone's got their own preferences. Whatever works for them works for them. But a race shoe, race days only. Some people will use them for their speed workouts. That's fine. But I go with the ASICS Metaspeed Sky Paris. I've tried a few. I've tried the popular Nike Aero Swift or whatever you want to call it. Did not fit my foot. Tore up my feet. These have a little bit flatter of an arch, carbon fiber plated, super light, but the one thing you want to watch out for is the price tag, and these babies only last for about 100 miles. So the key here is to buy a pair before a big race, wear them once, maybe twice, and then on race day, you bust them out. So I've only worn these things 3 times. But I highly, highly recommend it. It might be the placebo effect. It might just be the fact that you're lacing up some new shoes just for this one occasion. But having a pair of race shoes with a carbon fiber plate, which is super important, helps a ton and will help you hit those PRs that you're looking for. So, second piece of gear, a race day shoe. So now this next piece of equipment is somewhat new to me. I've always just worn old dingy socks and I didn't really care. And I've done fine. I've built up some calluses on my feet, kind of gross. But I did learn when I went to New York for the most recent marathon, New York City Marathon. I ran with a pretty cool company called Bandit. And so I started looking at some of their stuff and I wanted to support a little bit more. So I purchased some of their gear and I fell in love with running socks. I've never worn running socks, but these, I don't know if you can tell in the camera, have pads in certain locations where you tend to blister up from your shoes, and it is a game changer. The sweat wicking, you don't really notice too much, but the pads on your feet when you're going for those 18, 19, 20 mile runs and you really start to feel the burn in your feet from just the constant rubbing, from sweating, you know, just all the steps that you're taking. Having these padded running socks is honestly a game changer. It makes it way more comfortable. Yes, you can be a hardo and grind out your calluses. You can take your socks off and be bleeding, have a cool picture, have a cool video. That's all great. But as far as comfort for your everyday training, I would highly recommend the Bandit running socks. I'm not sure of their exact name. I'll link it down in the description below if you want to check it out. But running socks is the next piece of gear that I would highly, highly recommend. Now, this piece of gear, you probably see all the influencers, you see all the runners, basically anyone who puts up miles you'll see them wear. And it's a Garmin. Right here is the Garmin Fenix 7X. One of the more popular ones is the Forerunner. There's always the Epics, but I have the Fenix 7 and I absolutely love it. As far as tracking your runs, the GPS, the time, your pace, it's so accurate. And especially if you're training for a race for a specific time, it will recommend workouts for you for that time. It'll give you a training plan. It'll help you dial in your exact seconds, exact miles. And one of my favorite parts about it is it will track your sleep, your recovery, just your overall health, and sort of gamify it. So you're constantly thinking about how many miles am I putting up? How am I recovering? Because that's where progress is made. Not during the work, but the recovery after. So it's always putting fitness in the forefront of your mind, but it's also super accurate. There's the Whoop, which is great, and people recommend that one too. But I like the Garmin because it has its face. You can wear it when you run, you can see your miles, your pace. And if you don't have a Garmin, this is probably, besides your daily training shoe, which is very important for injury, but as far as taking you to that next level, the Garmin is what I would recommend. Now, this next piece of gear is gonna be a little controversial. It is definitely not necessary, but if you have the money to spend on it, I would recommend getting yourself a pair of running sunglasses. You can find a cheap pair on Amazon for like $10. What I have here is the Oakley Sphaera sunglasses, running sunglasses. It really doesn't matter what kind you have. I just finally upgraded and got myself a pair of these. I really enjoy them, but if you've ever watched Christian McCaffrey talk, you would hear him say about how growing up, his dad would make him wear sunglasses throughout the day to conserve energy for his game at night. It's the same thing for running. You can wear a hat, but if it's really sunny, that sun is glaring from the road, from the pavement, and you're having to squint. And so when you're going out running for hours and hours, and you're constantly having to squint, or even if it's windy and you're having to squint, you don't realize how much energy you're wasting on just keeping your eyes open. Getting a pair of sunglasses, nice or not nice, you remove that factor, you remove that variable, and you're conserving energy. Yes, it's very slim. When you're going for a PR, the littlest things add up. Get yourself a hat, a cheap little hat, and get yourself a pair of sunglasses, because squinting is going to make you miss your PRs. This next piece of gear, I had no idea existed before I entered the running world. I'd always see these elite runners running with no phone in hand. It's so much easier to run when you don't have anything in your hand. But I was too afraid to go for a long run out in the dark, off in a trail, without having my phone on me. Or when you get into bigger runs, having to hold all your gel, your fuel, your water, it really starts to add up when you get into some longer distances of the things that you need to carry with you. What I have here is a flip belt. You can find cheaper alternatives off Amazon. You can spend $10. I think this one was only $30. I've tried a couple and they just wouldn't last. The flip belt has lasted me quite some time now. I think almost coming up on a year. It's so necessary to have, to hold your phone, to hold your fuel, to hold your keys. It is one of the most essential pieces for long distance running. Now, if you're only running a couple miles here, a couple miles there, I would just hold your phone. You probably don't need any fuel. You probably don't need to spend the money on a running belt. But if you're running distances, or if you just hate holding your phone when you run, I would recommend a running belt. And I'd also recommend the flip belt. This brand seems to last. It's one of the more popular ones out there. You can get a bunch of cool colors. I will say though, the one thing about it, there's only slits in it. So the idea is you slide everything through the slits, it's all sitting around your waist, and then you flip it inside out and everything holds together. Now in theory, that is great. I was very suspicious in the beginning that how would things, when I start sweating, when I'm soaking wet, how would things not slide out? I will say my phone has flown out only a couple times. I would say less than a handful amount of times. But I am waiting for that one time when I'm running by the water, running on a bridge, and my phone decides to slide out and go right into that water. It hasn't happened. I've dropped it a couple times, But for the most part, everything stays in there. If I were to suggest a change to this product, it'd probably be, can we get some sort of snap close? I think they might sell one with zippers, but there's not as many pockets. It is very good, and it surprisingly holds everything together way better than you think it would. But I will say it is not perfect. There's other ones you can get out there that have zippers, other brands. Some cost more, some are cheaper. But if you don't have a running belt and you're running distance, this is what I would recommend. Now, along with the flip belt that I have, I also purchased a flip belt water bottle. There's lots of running water bottles out there. One of the more popular ones is the one with a hand wrap around it, and you hold it and it takes less energy because it just kind of is gripped to your hand. I hate running with anything in my hand. This flip belt water bottle is slightly curved, if you can see that. So when you put it in the waistband, it sort of wraps around your waist and feels quite comfortable. The only drawback with this is it is fairly small. I will put my electrolytes in this and then carry more water with me on some super long runs. And when I first started running, I wouldn't bring water with me. I would just go for my runs, and then when I finished my run, just down a bunch of water. And the more you get into it, the further distances you run, you realize I need to drink when I'm on these runs. So having 1 or 2 water bottles with you on these runs, sometimes with the longer ones, you still need to refill even on that, is a complete game changer. It's going to make your runs feel a lot more comfortable, your recovery a lot quicker. It's gonna leave you without brain fog. So you need to bring a water bottle with you. And this is the one that I recommend. Now, this last piece of equipment is definitely not necessary. But if you've watched any of my other videos, you've seen me talk about how important zone 2 heart rate based training is. That is where bulk of your training is. And if you're really getting dialed in, you're really focusing on your heart rate. Now, this Garmin, Apple Watch, most of those running watches out there do track your heart rate, but I would take it with a grain of salt. So when you're really getting focused and you really want to hit PRs, I would recommend a heart rate monitor. I use the Garmin one. I'm not sure of any other brands out there. There definitely are, but this is just the generic one. It's a little bit pricey for just being a heart rate monitor that you wear for workouts. If you're really trying to progress your times and hit a PR and really want to focus and make sure that your heart rate is in the right range, and you really want to make sure that you're improving in the right direction, heart rate monitor. Goes around your chest, it connects to your watch. There's no batteries in it, it connects automatically, it's pretty easy to set up. And then when you're out running, you know for a fact that your heart rate is accurate. You know for a fact that you're in the right range that you're going for. So out of all the equipment that I talked today, the heart rate monitor is probably the least important. But if you're looking to spend the money and you're looking to find that extra edge that's going to put you over whatever hurdle you're trying to get over, I would recommend a heart rate monitor. I'm going to give you a bonus piece of equipment, and this one's a little bit of a life hack. If you're anything like me, you sweat a ton. So putting your phone in your waist belt, or even just holding your phone in your hand, you sweat and your sweat gets all over your phone. After some time, I realized my phone started to smell. So gross, I know, but it would be in my waist belt that was soaked in sweat for hours, and my phone case would just sit in my pool of sweat when you think about it. So what I did is I started taking Ziploc bags to put my phone in. That way, it's waterproof. I remember having to come home from my workouts and wash my phone. Like, it was getting that bad. It sort of smelled like someone's cast when they finally get it off. You know, it's like raunchy. So I started putting my phone in a Ziploc bag. I would put it in my waist belt so it was waterproof, and I wouldn't have to worry about it starting to smell, it getting wet if I was caught in the run, which was another big thing. If I do have a life hack, and this is off the radar type of running gear, it would be invest in sandwich size Ziploc bags. That is all the gear that I use on a daily occasion or for race days that I would recommend. You've got your daily training shoes, you've got race shoes, Garmin heart rate monitor, flip belt water bottle, padded socks, and then my secret sauce, the Ziploc bag. Like I said at the beginning of the video, having the gear can help make the process a lot smoother, a lot more comfortable, but it is not going to substitute the training. It is not going to shave 30 minutes off your PR or whatever you're going for. It will shave a couple seconds off. It might even shave a couple minutes off, but it is not going to make or break your training. That is the work that you put in. I'll link everything that I showed today down in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. Like I said, some of this gear can get crazy expensive, but you can also find cheap substitutes if you just want to try it out, which is what I would recommend first. Before buying any of this nice stuff, I just bought the $10 version of it on Amazon, figured out what I liked, what I didn't like, and then invested some money in some of the nicer gear. So that's all I got for today. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, comment down below what your favorite piece of running gear, what your daily training shoe is. Keep working, keep pursuing greatness. I'll see you in the next one.